Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode review on the pop culture universe. Today, we are reviewing What If Episode 2. This one is called T'Challa Became a Star-Lord. So, I'll be one of the reviewers today. My name is Bogz. I'm with my girl, Sol. How are you today, Sol?
I'm doing good, and very much enjoyed this episode. Got a little teary-eyed at the end with the when it was giving its thanks and praise to Chadwick Boseman. I was like, "Rest in peace, man. Rest in power."
Yeah, it was a sweet ending.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just to give a summary of the episode. So, I thought it was a little surprise last week that they had quite an average premiere, I'd say. But episode 2, like, it's so it just like the way he propels from like 1940s, Earth basically to like in space, beyond planets, traveling, um, and like the alterations to the sacred timeline, like the different storytelling that we got in this episode. It just felt so much more bigger scale, more interesting,
Yeah.
more really vibrant story. Episode 2 just went all out. I felt with the ways and the kind of our understanding of the MCU and its players, the people in the story, what our expectations. It just twisted that kind of up, like over its, on its head. And it was just super fun for 30 minutes. And especially with Chadwick Boseman, coming back, I thought he was so good. Like a kind of different take on the character as well, which I'll come into later. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like his first role back as T'Challa since his passing. So, yeah, it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. How about you?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed this episode. You saw in the first episode how it was a small decision, not much changed. Like, yeah, Peggy became Captain Carter, but kind of the trajectory of what the movie was, First Avenger, and the first episode was very much the same. Where this one, definitely not. There's a lot of big changes to the sacred timeline in this episode, and just the amount of characters that you get to see in the background because we are going to outer space from different place to place, finding out like, oh, because T'Challa was the one that picked up, this thing didn't happen, or this changed there, and it was way more immense than last week's episode.
Yeah, so let's get into the episode review. So I'm not going to do a scene by scene breakdown. I'm sure everyone watching, you guys can check out other reviews for that. We're just going to give a kind of overall episode review. It does start off though with Yondu, instead of abducting Quill like we see in Guardians of the Galaxy, he mistakenly, by his team, mistakenly taken the Prince of Wakanda, which is obviously T'Challa as a child. The Watcher then provides us a bit of exposition between then when he's taken and present day. So in the present day, they explain that T'Challa's influence and kind of moral compass has like a universal scale to it, where they're going through the galaxy to try and help people, take from the rich, steal from the poor, talk about Robin Hood and things like that. Where at this point in the sacred timeline, like Quill kind of deludes himself into thinking that. So I just found that interesting. Like he's put it into action, and Quill just wants to do it, but obviously, he doesn't have the personality to do it. And obviously, this is Chadwick Boseman's final performance as T'Challa. Um, I just thought it was great. Like the whole character from start to finish, I just thought he was like refreshing. I just thought it was like lighthearted. It was funny. Um, and it's just great to think like he was ill during this time and he had such a fun time doing this. Well,
Yeah.
seemingly so. It was just so lighthearted. He's going back and forth, a different take on the character, like not so serious as he is in Black
Mm-hmm.
Panther, So yeah, just him in this kind of Guardians of the Galaxy-esque world. I just thought it just worked really well. I was a bit hesitant, like in the first minute or two. I thought, oh, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure. And then just the further it went, the interactions, the jokes, the humor, him being the focal point for everybody in the episode, it just worked so much. And yeah, I really enjoyed Chadwick Boseman in this. So how about you? First kind of thoughts on the beginning of the episode, and then hearing and seeing Chadwick Boseman for the first time since his passing.
Yeah, getting to hear Chadwick Boseman, just that voice, and like you said, it was very lighthearted, um, because you're taking the pressure of the kingdom of Wakanda off of his back, and he's just being what he wanted to be when he was younger. I'm guessing he's still the Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther of the Sacred Timelines, wanted to be an explorer when he was younger, but in case he just didn't end up getting picked up, it was Peter Quill. So I feel like it was taking his childlike wonder and really seeing that as an adult. And so you could hear it in the voice. And that's one thing that voice acting is super hard to do. And it's not the same as regular acting. And the fact that Chadwick did such an amazing job voice acting and really showing the difference in timbre between MCU Chadwick, Sacred Timeline Chadwick, I keep saying Chadwick, even though I mean Black Panther, and the not really Black Panther, the T'Challa, the Star-Lord in this. And I like the relationship between him and Yondu, because Star-Lord of the Sacred Timeline and Yondu, yeah, they love each other. Yeah, there's like the sweet moment in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when Yondu sacrifices himself for Star-Lord, but it's very much an antagonistic relationship too, where you could really see in this the care and the love and the partnership that you have between Yondu and T'Challa. So it was very interesting to see that, like, literally his goodness really rubbed off on all of the Ravagers, even rubbed off on the Mad Titan Thanos.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely did. And you're right. I did like that relationship between them two. It felt more like friends. Even though, you know, he's the father figure for Quill in the original timeline, but they just felt like that he was the captain of their team. T'Challa did so via his heart, like you're saying. But so moving to this episode, I felt like the first episode did show, as you covered, a bit of restraint in terms of the whole MCU. You know, the what if, you know, kind of changing the timeline stuff or multiverse, anything along that variance along them lines. But yeah, so because as you said, it didn't divulge too far from the MCU storyline in terms of they just really replaced a couple of characters, right? Peggy and Steve Rogers, pretty much. But apart from that, it was pretty much the same story as, you know, the first Avenger. But this episode is the other end of that spectrum. Like, it's complete switch around. Obviously, it did take some elements of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2, but like the different characters it brings in, like surprising, and how different they are in the story. Like T'Challa, as you said as well, like he transformed the Ravagers basically, and they went from like a dysfunctional group to basically functional group, or less dysfunctional, where the group of this kind of just like when you see who the muscle is in this team and how they are as well, like this redeemed Thanos almost. Like I was shocked when he first kind of came on, and I thought he was great as well. He was probably like low-key my favorite part of the episode, where
the running joke was so funny.
And like I think it's bold to do, like bringing Thanos in the second episode as a good guy, you know, with Nebula, like not as obviously altered as she has been previously, and even their relationship, like again, more friendly. But it's just weird to see him redeemed, and just like the dad jokes, like you said, the reoccurring joke about the efficient, like the laughing about what the whole original, you know, the big
his original plan.
Exactly.
I think that's genocide, but it's efficient.
But it's random. Like he's like,
it's random. It's not genocide.
Every time we push back, I thought it was great. Multiple jokes about it. Like every time he got a laugh from me. And then at that point, Nebula enlists T'Challa to track the embers of Genesis, which is currently in the hands of the Collector, who's badass as well. I thought, like, it looks badass as
way
well.
Way more
like,
badass.
Yeah, way more shredded and cooler, and very flamboyant. And of course, he's got like a famous MCU arsenal that he used a lot of their weapons to defend himself there. And this is where the episode like really kicked off as well. Some of the action stuff, again, it was really good in the first episode. I thought they were the best moments, but this animation style suits the action stuff, like T'Challa and him going, you know, fighting, and with the other obviously characters who are with Thanos in Avengers, obviously Endgame and Infinity War, like Ebony Maw, and then characters, so them being his, you know, his sidekicks or against, you know, the Ravagers. So I thought they were really fun as well. And just seeing all the action stuff, seeing Thanos getting, you know, his action stuff, like seeing how far he could go and how strong he was, and for, you know, fighting against the people that who were with him in the original time. So it's all really tricky stuff. Like the cosmic setting of this. Like, I just thought it was so much better than being in 1940s, Britain or Germany or whatever. Just being, in this Guardians of the Galaxy, the colors with the spaceships, with the characters, with the action. I just thought it so much suited the animation more, and it was so much more engaging and like edge of your seat, like the whole episode. So yeah, what were your thoughts seeing the Collector, seeing Nowhere, seeing all the new characters, Thanos and all that?
Some of the changes just because T'Challa got picked up. Like, we get Drax here, and Drax is not on his revenge tour because his wife and his son, or is it daughter, child, it is alive, because he was Chadwick, like T'Challa ended up saving like that area of that planet, and so then his family didn't get murdered. And then you also have the fact that you have Thanos in here, and it is that like, oh, he turned me good, goes, but then because I was the main bad guy, someone had to fill in that shoe. So then you have the Collector, where in the Sacred Timeline, the Collector is a very important guy, but he seems very weak, very kind of just like, he's like, here's me with my stuff that I hoard.
Almost,
almost pathetic, like with a lot of information, a lot of stuff that he's hoarded, where like this time he's shredded. He's got all of these, even the shield was in his, when he opened, I was like, oh my gosh, where did he get that? How are the Avengers now? Like, are they on Earth, or does he have all of their stuff? And the fact too that you saw the four, Ebony Maw and all of Corvus Glaive and all of them who were part of Thanos's crew in Infinity War and Endgame, are now fighting against Thanos. And then the kind of like the father-daughter relationship between Nebula and Thanos. I kind of was wanting there to be a Gamora there as well, but maybe he didn't. Maybe he changed his mind and became good before going to slaughter Gamora's homeworld, which that's why he has Gamora as a daughter. So who knows? I don't know who he adopted first. It could be that he adopted Nebula first before Gamora, and that's why Gamora is not there.
Maybe.
And just the fact, like, the relationships, but Nebula calling him Cha-Cha, like, that was really cute. Just the way people were talking to each other, the way people were interacting with each other. It was a lot of fun. And like you said, the fight scenes were amazing.
Yeah, so I just thought the episode really fast. Like it was like a really quick pace. Like every scene was like, it was either action or it was they would talk, like you would see in characters where they are now. So you were like either confused or you were like doing the kind of math in your head.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, so if this happened, that means that didn't happen. And then there'd be an action scene, or it was just lots of stuff being thrown at you the whole time. To be honest, I kind of expected that kind of stuff in the first episode, which you do get that just a little bit. But I'm guessing it was a mellow episode compared to this one to ease people in, especially like hardcore MCU people or not regular movie watchers, just general public, just to ease them in on one episode. There's also no indication of how these characters or in these other pockets of time are going to link up or sync up. Like the characters in the first episode, second episode, we don't know. Are they going to have a joint story, or are they going to link or have any other like interactions with each other? There's no actual indication of that as of yet, but we'll see. Maybe characters down the line or episodes in coming episodes, we'll see. The final scene is we see like a new power dynamic between Ego and Quill. They still have the link up.
Yeah.
At the end, I thought it was really cool to see Quill just almost like a nobody, just cleaning the
Dairy Queen.
Yeah, and I thought the animation of Ego just looked great. Hearing Kurt Russell is just made me smile. So that was great.
And it left us with a cliffhanger there.
Yeah, I've done it the episode before as well, so I do like the cliffhangers. And then the Watcher also, I thought, is like insisting that he won't interfere in the events, but he sounds like a bit of an unreliable narrator to me. Like he can't watch all these things happening and just never get involved or not have. I think maybe the link up might happen by him potentially. I mean, we'll see, but I'm starting to think more and more he will have more involvement in the story. I don't know where. I want him to, because I just like hearing him talking about the universe and stuff. So I thought it was
more
cool.
Jeffrey Wright is always good.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, to summarize, I mean, episode 2, I thought it's kind of course corrected its way, and Chadwick's take on T'Challa was awesome. and just his enthusiasm, I just thought came through, and the visuals were better, the action was better, the story was more interesting, the voice acting was better throughout. Like I had some issues in the first episode where some of the original cast members, I just felt like I just didn't believe it as much. But this episode, I didn't have any issue of that. Like I thought Josh Brolin was great. I thought Karen Gillan was great. You know, T'Challa was fantastic.
It wasn't Karen.
All of
It
them.
was it Karen Gillan? I thought it was someone else.
Oh, I'm not sure. Whoever was Nebula, like that,
Yeah.
I thought that voice actor was great. You know, I know Drax wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, he was a different actor because yeah, I know that. But yeah, just everything worked for me. And Jimon Hansu, I liked his voice, but I know you mentioned that he was a little much, right?
Yeah, I liked his voice a lot. His character arc in this episode was like a little much. It was just like, okay, he was like a fanboy. It very much was just, at the very beginning. Yeah,
even that scene was a bit long, right? Even the opening scene, yeah, it was a little long.
When I saw, because I've heard a lot of people enjoy this episode and saying, oh, this episode is so much better than last week's. And then I was watching the very beginning and I was like, oh no, am I going to be one of the only people that don't like this episode? Because Jaimin Hansu was coming off a little much at the very beginning and like the fanboyness. And then I love this episode so much. And then I kind of just started laughing at Jaimin Hansu later. Like
until like
his character.
He carried him out and he was like, oh, I have worse than him. Like we've hired worse or something, wherever he said, and he carried him out. From that point, it went upwards. Yeah, I agree. That scene was a little long for me. Like they were going over the joke back and forth of, oh, you can hit me now, or yeah, it's a part, just whatever. It wasn't the funniest scene I've ever seen.
They extended a joke too long.
I definitely agree. After that though, it was really funny. But yeah, overall, like I said, bolder changes. I felt way more interesting, and like now you're wondering what if. Like now I'm in what if. So bold changes to the MCU and the history and our expectations and stuff. So overall, I'd probably give it an 8. I was thoroughly entertained throughout. Music was good, animation was good. Like there's not enough compliments I can give this. I was thoroughly entertained. I can't wait to watch it again, to be honest. So what about you? Overall summary and ranking?
Yeah, I watched this on my phone at work to be able to talk and review it here with you today. And I'm like, I cannot wait to now, after this, go watch it on my TV because I enjoyed this episode so much. I'm also going to give it an 8. Like I said with Sean last week, goes, I give episodes that like wow me. Right. Those get the 8, the 9s, the 10s. I haven't given anything a 10 yet. So, and this episode really did wow me away, and I loved it. Except for that little bit at the very beginning, I loved every bit of it.
Definitely. And yes, it was Karen Gillan who voiced Nebula.
Okay.
And it was, Benicio del Toro voiced the Collector. And, Kurt Russell is all there. And I think pretty much everyone apart from Drax was voiced by themselves. But yeah, that's it. That's our episode review. Episode 2 was absolutely awesome. So let's keep it up. Let's get weirder. I want to see Doctor Strange. I want to see all these other Loki in his current status now, via, what's going on after the Loki series. I want to see him. I hope it's post Loki series in terms of the timeline. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, there's crazy stuff happening. We're here for it. We're going to react and review to it every episode. So we're looking forward to that. Put your comments in. What are your reviews of this episode, your expectations moving forward? And yeah, please like the video, comment, subscribe. Look out for our other trailer reactions, reviews, episode breakdowns. We'll see you all on the next reaction video.